Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, July 17th, 2020, and I just finished reading Romans chapter 4. Obviously, the book of Romans has a lot that can be digested, a lot of different things. Romans 4 is a big interpretive key and shifting point as Paul talks about just the people of God and who are the people of God in the book of Romans, which as it works through, showing that everyone who has faith is a person of God, and what is the concept of that faith is discussed. And then starting in chapter 12, it really works into a lot of the application points. But the interesting thing, whenever people talk about Paul and his books, they say the first half is theology, the second half is application. And this actually is a misconception that I don't think Paul at all thought in terms of, well, there's theology and there's application. Paul was a pastor, a missionary, a church planter. He was a man who deeply believed that your theological convictions brings forth actions that are good and that are holy. And so, interestingly enough, Romans chapter 4 ends with a very interesting proclamation saying that so our the righteousness of Jesus is counted unto us, and he is the one who's raised from the dead. He was delivered up for our trespasses and raised for our justification. And I think oftentimes as Christians we don't think about just the pure, simple beauty of this. If anyone remembers my discussion of Psalm 29, just this awesome reality of we need to ascribe to the Lord goodness and greatness and proclaim his wonders. And so the fact that the Lord could cause us who were unholy to be made holy, or us who were unrighteous to be made righteous, that's a mighty powerful God. I mean, think about that simple reality of the Lord doing that work. Only the mighty Lord can do that. You and I cannot make ourselves righteous. We cannot make ourselves holy. And the fact that we have a God who would deliver his own self up for our trespasses, so our ungoodness, I mean, that's awesome. But this made me think about how, we as Christians, I think sometimes have a poor time viewing ourselves as those who are righteous. And how you view yourself is the lens through which you act. And so many different times in life, we allow a separate, different lens to control how we view ourselves and how we then therefore view how we should act in this world. Think about the simple fact that an athlete, if they step onto the court or onto the track or into the field and they view themselves as the best athlete, they are going to have the confidence to perform better. But if they view themselves as not as worthy of being on the field, they're going to do poor. There's this thing inside of athletics called the Imposter Syndrome, where an athlete doesn't think they're worthy or that they're capable or that they belong in that field of competition, and psychologically that's going to wear them down. They're not going to be able to actually compete to their full potential. So if we as Christians want to live out a righteous life in this world, we have to understand that we aren't doing this on our own ability, but we're doing it upon the ability of Jesus, who gives us his righteousness. So we might feel like we're growing tired and weary, but we have an infinite resource, an infinite source, an infinite tank through which we are able to channel and fuel that energy. And that's because Jesus gave, through our faith, we are counted as righteous, and we're counted as righteous because it's his righteousness that he gives us. And so this is just like another secondary thing that I think we often don't work through, is we often are, I think, too immediate goal oriented. I'm a coach. For those who don't know that, right now the question is, are we going to have fall athletics? That's a big question inside of not just various areas, but I mean, that's a big question for all coaches in the United States of America. And with that, I know it's hard for some coaches to challenge their athletes to be working out over the summer. The athlete doesn't have that motivation necessarily because, well, I'm not going to have a fall season, so why should it matter? Or I don't know if I'm going to have a competition, why should it matter? I got a bunch of friends who aren't in high school, they aren't in college, they're just trying to run for fun, but they've had a bunch of races canceled. The Chicago Marathon just got canceled. And people are saying, well, how am I going to train if I have nothing to train for? Well, this is where I think this is that simple like perspective shift that like as Christians we become, I need to be good when I'm talking to someone, or I need to act good, or I need to become good in order to do these little things. In athletics, the question isn't what is my challenge or competition that I'm training to be good for. It's I am an athlete, therefore I'm going to train to be in condition because being in condition is good. Being in having a high level of cardiovascular endurance and strength and speed and mental fortitude is good no matter what, even if there's a race a week away, a month away, or a year away. And so just think about these little ways like that, how we have a perspective, how we have a lens, how we have a worldview affects how we act out on things. So there's people who they say, you know what? I'm not going to allow my feelings to dictate how I'm going to act because I recognize that there's a bigger picture. And the bigger picture as believers is that we are declared righteous in Jesus Christ. So that should change how we act. It shouldn't be that, I'm at home so I can let my guard down, or, I'm at work so I can talk like I'm at work, or, I'm, the infamous locker room talk thing. No, it shouldn't matter where you are. You are who you are in Christ. And so you should let Christ shine out of you with his righteousness. This is going to be a neat Romans 5 tomorrow. Since it's Friday today, I'm not going to be posting probably a live video tomorrow, talk about my devotions and whatnot. But I want to encourage everybody, be in the Word, be reading, and allow just the basic, big picture things to challenge you in how you live. As a father, I am continually challenged through the fact that, am I fathering out of the righteousness of God, or am I fathering out of the feelings of the moment? When you have a 3-year-old who's almost 4 years old, who's just dealing with growth and life and change, she's going to push you. She's going to challenge you. She's going to make things not simple. But if I'm working and operating out of my momentary feelings, it's not going to go as well as if I'm operating out of an eternal perspective, trying to shepherd, guide, and disciple this child into the righteousness of God. And as Deuteronomy 6:4 and following says, I'm teaching her every which way. And if I allow the righteousness of God to flow through me in that moment, viewing myself as one who's declared righteous, so therefore able to not be angry, impatient, upset, or mad, or lacking in that moment, it's going to be better. All right, have a wonderful day. I love you all. Finish out your week strong. If you are a high school athlete, don't worry about if there's going to be fall sports or not. Keep training. Keep strong. If you're a college athlete, keep training. Keep strong. You're going to receive benefits from athletic training even if you don't have a fall sports competition. Have a bigger picture in mind so that way you're able to just be growing in strength and righteousness. I don't know when the next time I'm going to compete is, but I'm still training. I'm training harder this year without any actual race or competition than I have probably since high school. And I feel better for it. I'm doing better, and I think this all just ties into have a bigger picture than the immediate moment, even the immediate week, immediate month. Get bigger picture. Have the eternal picture of God in mind.